Why is this not charging? All right, let's see if this time it works. So someone let me know if you hear my audio. I'm just going to keep talking. And then maybe someone will hear me this time. So please let me know if you can hear me. I don't think anyone's watching right now. Everyone left because they thought I was not going to do it. Oh no. All right. I'm pretty sure my audio is working though. So I think I got it this time. It's only my second time doing this particular fashion. So anyway, but yes, let me know, comment below if you hear my audio. Let me know if you hear me. Test, 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 test. I will get this eventually, I promise. So let's see if anyone commented yet. No one commented yet. Someone comment and tell me if you could hear my audio. Because if you can, then we're good to go. If you can't, then that's a whole nother problem then. Oh, good. Thank you, Nancy. Oh my goodness. That was like 12 minutes of my life unneeded. I didn't even pick up my pastels yet, people. So, all right. Show me some love this Monday morning, because so far it's been a morning, and it was a late morning. So when the baby sleeps in, you sleep in, right? All right. I'm just going to get this colors. I'm working with my pastel matte paper, the same I did last demo, but let me show you the this is the pad I'm using. So it's made by Claire Fontaine. I'm trying to get my reference to go over to my iPad because my iPad wasn't charged at all either. Because why would it be? Why would anything be working this morning, right? Oh, there we go. Okay, but I got 6% and it's plugged in, so we are all good. So pastel matte is the best paper ever. For those of you that have taken my classes in person or even online, you know, oh, thanks, Mary, that it is magic paper. That's what I call it. It's magic paper. And it comes in different series. So this is number 4. There's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously, you know numbers. So the 4 I like because I love the dark blue. It comes with this like nice wine color, this kind of reddish color. They're all great. I just chose this one because it was the one pack that was on sale, so I bought a bunch of them. Anyway, so that's what I'll be using. I'm on like a 9x12-ish size. Let's come a little bit more squared there for you. Okay, and do me a favor and share this post right now, wherever you are. If you're watching it on YouTube, obviously not, but trying to still drink my tea, so bear with me. Okay, here's our reference photo. Share this post, though, as I'm working, because I want to try to get a bunch of people on here live. So share. All right, here's our reference photo. Now, I usually work from photos that are strictly, copyright free. They're either from people who uploaded their photos that want their photos done by artists. There's a bunch of groups on Facebook that are fantastic for this. What was this guy's name? Oh gosh, I forget his name. I'm going to put his name in the comments after. But this or Unsplash, which is a wonderful website. Pixabay is a wonderful website. They're all great websites. So they are copyright free and amazing. And I love being able to collaborate with other artists because that's always the cool thing to do. So if you're watching, post your name in the comments and tell me where you are watching from. I wonder if we can get some from all over. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pick some colors. I think last demo, I already picked my colors. But, today is a holiday and it's nuts today. So here we are. You're going to go through my process of matching colors as well. So when I look at a reference photo, we're not Xerox machines, right? So we don't want to copy everything exactly because that's boring. Why not just print out the picture? So, which I was prepared to do if my iPad didn't work, but I hate working from printed pictures. iPad is the way to go because look, you could zoom in, you could zoom out, the color's much nicer. So if you do not work from an iPad, you are missing out. Okay. So, I'm so jealous of Florida. But it's warm there, Mary. All right. Now, so we want to definitely pick out some shades of blue. So I'm going to pull out like more of this light blue. Now I have all hard and soft pastels. People are like, oh, well, how do you know which one to use? Honestly, with magic paper, you can just use what you want wherever, because this paper can take a lot. It's not like, Canson paper or a paper that is very shallow, I guess would be the best way to word it, where it can't take a lot. So this paper, even though it's super smooth to the touch, it is magic. So it can hold a lot. So I don't have a problem using a bunch of soft right off the bat because I know my paper can take it. So I have a slew of blues, kind of a purpley color here. This is almost a white. It's actually, you could see, it's not really white. It looks white, but it's not white. That's why I like to not only clean it on the paper towel, but I like to actually see the value against white as well. So value is just how things are light or dark comparatively to things. Let's get some darker shades of blue. This is almost like a dent. That's almost purpley, almost a purpley. Let's get this loud one. Woo! Mama needs to wake up. So we're going to have some blue there. I have to drink my tea too, so I haven't gotten that far yet. If you're sipping on something, let me know what you're sipping on. Okay, now this barn is red, but by no means is it this red. Don't be pulling out that red. That's like crazy. So I have like almost like it's like a wine color here. Okay. I'm definitely going to pull out some kind of muted purple tones, which are really nice to use for some reflected light. Let's keep that on screen there. Let's see what else. There's just a lot of blues. There's a lot of blues. And since this is a very white dominant subject, a lot of people are probably like, why didn't you choose a white piece of paper, Andrea? Because white snow is not white. It's not white. In fact, I'm going to pull out a little bit of a creamy color. This is a creamy color. It's a new pastel. It's a new pastel, 247. Which reminds me, got to pull out my favorite, 244. What bugs me is that you can't buy new pastels individually anymore. It's so sad. Someone write a letter because it's ridiculous. Like, it's just, I don't know why they don't do that anymore. Anyhow, but I did discover that there's a brand called Cretacolor, and they have a very similar hardness. They're shaped the same way, the long rectangle, and they come in individual colors too. And I know a color that's the equivalent of 244. I don't know the number off my head, but I did take a picture of it at some point in my class. Someone had it. So anyway, I'm going to stick with those colors just for the time being because I do want to get started with drawing because this should have all been done before I started today. But we got some perspective going on, guys. Everyone's favorite thing, perspective. We love it. Give me a thumbs up if you love it. Give me a thumbs down if you hate it. It's okay to hate it. Hate's a strong word. So let's see. How am I gonna put? I gotta like hold it. I gotta hold. I feel like Bob Ross over here holding it like my palette. All right. Where do we begin? I always start with the corner. When I say corner, that's like where this side meets and this side meets. So let's just break it down. Every side of the building that's facing the right side, we're going to call that side B. This side's going to be side A. Okay. So everything facing the left is going to be side A. Everything facing the right side, like that way, is going to be side B. Okay. So bear with me. Let's dig in our horizon line first. So I think I'm going to do a little bit of a higher horizon line. You normally don't want to have it right in the middle of the page, because, someone said that at some point and we just listened to that someone. So there's reasons. Anyway, now I'm going to start off with getting my corner in. Let's see, that corner that I pointed out, that's going to be right along here. It's slightly below the horizon line. I want you to think of the horizon line as your eye level, okay? So all these lines are going to be coming up towards a dot that lives somewhere on this horizon line. Now these dots, these vanishing points, are usually not even on this piece of paper. They're living way that way and they're living way that way. So I have dot B and dot A to go with the sides that are B's and the sides that are A's. I'm going to stop talking for a second. Every time I start talking about side A, side B, people are like, what? And then I lose them. And then they go away. So I don't want you to go away. I just want you to think about how all the lines are going towards a magical dot that lives somewhere on this line. Okay, that's the main thing I want you to be thinking about right now. All right, over here we have the bottom part of our barn. I'm thinking of this barn as a way, actually it goes up a little bit further, as a way to, I don't know where I was going with that, to be honest. Hold on, I can't draw and think. Let's see. It's so hard to draw and think, guys. You have no idea. Especially when I do demos, I'll like starting to talk about something and I'm like, I don't know where that was going. Okay. Like I said, I haven't had my tea yet, so bear with me. Okay, I remember where I was going. Wow. um, I try to simplify the shapes. So the side of this building is like, whoa, crazy, right? But if we think about like one long rectangle with like shapes on top, that's another way to break it down. So you could also just wing it. You know, that's definitely a way that you can do it. There's nothing wrong with that. You just got to make sure that all your lines kind of go towards the same idea of vanishing points, right? All right. I want you to think about the shimmy as well. The shimmy is something I just made up. Well, I didn't just make it up, but that's the way I describe it. So the angle of this roof, it's going to be the same over here. So you could take something and shimmy it over and make sure that your angle is about the same as well. So that's our little shimmy method. We have another little upwards area here. So it's going to go downwards here. I'm not even making these as extreme of an angle as they should be, but it's all right. Let's see, this is slightly downwards because remember, we're going towards that line. The dot's way over there. So the lines are not going to go crazy intense. They're going to be just slightly subtle. So subtle that you think like it's almost horizontal. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen people in my classes think that it's a horizontal line, but it is not. It is not. And I'm going to walk around with that ruler and be like, nope, that's not right. Okay, so this is the most important part of our drawing today. Obviously, is the drawing, because if we don't get that right, it's an old barn, right? That's what I always tell people. It's an old barn. So that's why I love doing barns. When in doubt, just say it's an old barn. It doesn't have to be straight and perfect, because who wants that? I mean, it is an old barn. I shouldn't even be drawing it this straight. Everything's going to change once we get everything on there anyway. I'm going to check my angles because this feels a little bit too upright. I'm going to make this a little more sloucherson. There we go. Which means I got to bring this out a little. Okay. Now, when you're drawing and you have a bunch of lines, number one, you could draw it on a separate piece of paper. I'm doing it here, obviously, because, you know, I got to teach stuff. But if you also want to refine your lines with another color, you could say, oh, well, you know what? I don't want to have this line be visible as much. So I'm gonna draw now with my blue and say this is the real line. So you can use another color to adjust your lines. Say this is the real line. We got a little something back here. I'm gonna call it the chicken coop because I don't know what it's called. But now if some of these lines down here bother you, guess what? I don't see that line down here. It's covered with brush, fence, and snow. So it's going to all be covered with stuff. So when you get fixated on something, like there's all these fences here, don't get fixated on it. This is just my foundation. I don't have to stick with this. It's fine. There's a big old house back here. I don't think I'm going to put that in. There's a tree over here, some trees over here. What I love, though, is the snow and the shadow. That's what I really love about this. So we have this lovely shadow here. There's going to be a shadow here from some fences that are going to live over here. Fence. It's supposed to be an F. And then we got some posts over here. I'm not going to worry about any of those yet, but just this line that represents where the shadow is going to be. I'm going to put S there for shadows. So once we have all that in, now we can start plopping. So let's start by getting in our darks. I'm going to actually just use a black new pastel because I like the hardness of it and I like the corners of it. And look, this one's brand new. Lucky, lucky me. So while I'm peeling this, if you notice on the bottom of the screen, there's a little scrolly ticker thing. So make sure to check out my new Zoom class, which starts next Monday. So next Monday, 12 to 3:30. Why can't I open this? Here, 12 to 3:30. No, 12:30 to 3. Oh my gosh. Bear with me, guys. I swear I'm more pulled together than this. I really am. Ask anyone. Well, don't ask anyone, but yes, 12:30 to 3 is my next Zoom class starting next week. It's a 6-week session. You will have a front row spot just like this, how you're seeing it right now, but you also have the benefit of seeing another camera with my face, whether you want to or not. And I kind of spared everyone that this morning. But yeah, it's super fun. We do a lot of pastels. We also do some oils. We do a lot of different things. So if you're curious about that, ask questions, do all the things. Ask away. And of course, if you need some art supply storage, my link there for my little bag biz is there as well. So check it out. We all love some organization in our lives, right? Okay, check out what I'm doing. I'm taking the edge of my black and I'm just kind of grazing down where I see some darker areas. Now, of course, the whole barn itself is pretty dark except for the snow, right? We have dark red, but with some reflected light. But you know what? I know the sun's coming from over here. So I'm going to like make some areas of this side a little bit lighter, even though it looks really dark now. I promise that I'm going to give a little bit more of some infusion. A little bit there, pulling down vertically just because I like the idea of creating that height. For me, it's just something that helps. Okay, I think we got everything good there. There's a little shadow here. I don't want to get too much black down because, I mean, well, it's not a big deal because the paper is going to be able to take my other colors on top. But anyway. Oh, I forgot this little guy up top here. What is this called? A cupola? I think it's called a cupola. It's fun to say. Say it out loud. Cupola. How many people said it out loud? That's what I want to know. Cupola. Try to use it in a sentence today. All right, cupola. All right, so see, look, I got the shimmy. I got 2 verticals, 3 verticals. This line goes with the flow of the roof because it's socketing on it. And right here, that goes with the flow of the roof too. So I just have to get in my little darks. Boom. This is a little spot here. I'm going to have to zoom in when I do that. Okay. There we go. Our little cupola. So let's start plopping in some color. Now I'm going to work background to foreground, just like I did in the last demo. If you watched that one, the beach one. I did the sky first, which I will do here as well. I want to make it a little bit more fun. I mean, it's a fun sky. There's blue. I like the blue. Maybe go a little bit more intense with the blue. Now, these are softer pastels because I just like the way they lay on. And plus, since they're going to be a little bit more powdery, which means, you know, the softness, they're going to slide. The powder's going to slide right off this stick. So that's a good thing because I want to be able to actually blend with my finger for the sky. I want things to be nice and smooth. So if you notice, I'm working flat as well. That's not the norm with pastel, but I am not the norm. That's my husband. But you know what? It works for me. So if you feel that you don't want to work flat and you want to work upright, that's totally normal. Embrace that. It's fine. The reason I work flat is, number one, it's much better to video this way for me. I feel like everyone gets a nice front row spot of like watching things as if you were in my eyes. But I also have, I don't know, I also like to, it sounds horrible, but I also like to blow the powder, and you're not supposed to blow the powder, but I like to blow the powder. It's just easier for me because I feel like when I'm working upright, it's just, it falls down all over. It's not for me. But whatever. I mean, I'm also in a studio, so I can make a mess. I don't even make that much of a mess, guys. All right, I don't. Let's get some white over here. Now I'm going to start to go a little bit more purplier towards the horizon line. This looks very, very loud so far, and that's okay for the time being. Totally okay. We want to get loud and crazy with our colors right off the bat. We could always calm things down. Could always calm it down. Add some brown to calm it down. Add some opposite colors. Ooh, this is a very powdery one. I think this one's running out. I used this a lot in some of my seascapes I've been doing for my upcoming show. If you're local, please come by, check it out. March 3rd is my reception. Information's on my website. Link in the banner ticker thingy. Incline. See, that's a good idea, Mary. You could work on an incline. Okay, let's see if I have enough down. I bet you I probably don't have enough down yet, but I'm just going to put a little purple in there because you got to have the purple. All right, let's see. Now, a lot of people use other tools to blend. That's cool too. I just really like doing it with my finger. I have much more control personally. Some people don't like that feeling though, and that's okay. I'm going to blend and then I'm going to go back in. But see how that's just nice and soft. Try to have clean hands when you do this. Even the round pastels have edges. You just have to create them, you know. All right, we're going to go over here now. Get some of this purple and come up here. I almost feel like how some of the pastels, the different brands have a little bit of a different combination of ingredients. So one that I'm using right now is very, it's like very gritty almost. It's interesting. I'll give that a little blow. And then up here, we're going to just add a little more because it is just not blending enough. Okay. Now the barn's going to be like crazy textured. So I definitely want to have like a balance of texture and softness in my piece. So I want to make sure that my sky is all how it needs to be, nice and soft. So I have that focus on the texture where the texture needs to be. I have to switch to a new finger. My other fingers are not doing it anymore. Okay. You could use your other hand. Hey, we'd have 10 fingers. Usually we do. Okay. Let's keep that the way it is for right now. And now we're going to add it a little bit more. I should have my baby wipes here. Do I have those? I don't even know where those went. Anyway, I'm just going to wipe it on my body. Couple more little nuances of the clouds. Now I'm going to use a slightly harder pastel. No, I don't like that one. I have a nice new pastel. This one's harder. Now, hard on soft doesn't really work as well, but that's okay. So I actually don't want it to be as dominant. So you can see how it's kind of pushing some of the powder away. So we're going to go a little here. We're going to just tap a little bit. Maybe it's too hard and you want to do a little tapping schmear. I do like a little up and down. So that guy kind of came out. Maybe over here. He wants a friend. So I'm pushing a little harder on the top of the cloud, and then I'm going to just let it disintegrate down into the existing area. There we go. All right, and I could always come back to the sky. Nothing says like it's the end of the world. It's not the end, but I do have this little dirty area. I got to clean it up. That's from using my black. Now you could use a little finger, like a Q-tip or something to get into these little nooks and crannies too. That's just a tip. I don't have a Q-tip handy. I don't normally use Q-tips. I'm just suggesting it because there are many ways to do things. Okay, let's move on. So let's go to our barn. Now I see definitely some hints of purples and blues. Are they going to be as obnoxiously blue as this? No. But we're still going to use it. So we're going to get this in there. Just like so. Yes, I know it's really blue. Bear with me. It's going to look awesome. Hopefully. Hopefully it will. See a couple windows here. I'm going to suggest those in. I don't really even see them as being blue, but I just want to try to get like some color in there. The blue sky is going to reflect like what's around it. So why not try to emulate some of that loudness now? Always calm it down. Let's get some of this red in over here. Now, instead of just doing one big stroke across the whole thing here, let me come a little closer. There we go. That's better, right? So instead of just doing one stroke this way, I still want to get that vibe of vertical planks or whatever it is. Even if it's not vertical planks, I still always do this for barns. Just kind of pulling down, just give some like inconsistency, which is nice for an old barn. I think the planks are technically going the other way on this barn, but that's okay because I never do my planks horizontal. I always do them vertically. We'll do some horizontal. Okay. Now, here's another reason why I don't want to work on the white papers, because I can allow some of this paper color to come through and it's going to be great. It's going to work to my advantage. Let's get a little dark, maybe a little dark here for the recessed look of our windows. Think of like a backwards L. And of course, up top, we have to have the overhang from our roof. A little bit there. Let's get some light on our roof just so we have that balance of value 1 next to value 10. Notice I'm going with the flow of the angle of the roof, okay? I just want to get in some basic colors for my barn, and then I'm going to go in and add some of my foliage back there, kind of jumped the gun with this barn, but I just was dying to get it in. All right, we'll just get a little bit of this in here, a little more snow here, more snow up here. Follow the edge of that roof. A little bit here. Okay. So I can almost leave it like that. It looks like a roof. All right, a little bit here on the little cupola. Reminds me of that song. I forget what it's called, but it involves a piccolo. That's the extent of my knowledge of that song. Now, this guy over here, he has snow too, but he's in shadow snow. So his shadowy snow is not going to be as white as what I put in. In fact, this color might not even be as dark as it needs to be. But let's just put something in there for now. Okay, he's shadowed snow. Honestly, I think he's going to end up having to be darker. Let's just make him a little darker. I'm using the blue from the sky. Because guess what? Snow is a sponge. White is a sponge. It's going to literally absorb all these things that are all over. If it was sunset, guess what? The snow would be sunset colors. Let's go a little firmer here, just getting some of our angles in. Now, I debated showing something that was so angular and whatnot for the demo, because sometimes like angles scare people. But here we are. I just thought maybe it'd be fun. All right, let's get a little 244 on there just to kind of soften some of these edges. There's a little bit of some exposed roof over here I didn't get in. Still going with the flow of that roof. Let's go over here, start to cover some of this part of my barn in. Maybe there's a little bit of some red. You can see my lines underneath it. Now, I used white mainly so you guys could see my drawing. I would have probably used something that was a little more subtle if it were me. Maybe like some sort of gray, something closer to my paper color. But then you guys wouldn't be able to see my drawing. And that would defeat the whole purpose of a demo, wouldn't it? It's all right. Bringing just that edge up, making sure I have all of my angles being maintained. When in doubt, put a bush on top of it or cover it with snow. That's what I do with my animal portraits. When in doubt, add some fluff. It's fine. Everything's fine. My mantra lately, it's fine. I think next time I might do an animal for my demo. Everyone's probably like, yeah, Andrea, why don't you do an animal for your demo? I don't know. Because I wanted to do a barn today. Let's get this little light thing in there. Ooh, that's really light. Let's calm it down. 244p to the rescue. Calm that right down. Make it a little square too. Now that square is still going to go to the shape going towards those lines, right? And mine's not even a square or rectangle. It's honestly, it's just a space. It's just a shape. Let's get a little bit of some red over here. A little more red. It's almost like a magenta I'm using. It's like a mulberry, I guess we'll call it. Fun fact, I always wanted to be a crayon namer growing up. A little bit of purple, of course. Reflected light. Okay, we got to have that reflected light because the snow is going to bounce into that. So speaking of that, let's start establishing some of our surrounding area because that's going to change a lot of stuff. Now in the picture, it's very gray and blah, and we don't want it to be too gray. So I'm going to infuse a little bit more of a sagey kind of color back here. I'm going to go extra sage first. Let's get a little bit of that in there. Obviously, it's not the color that I'm going to end with, but I want to get it in first. Now, when things are in the distance, they have to be cooler and lighter if you want them to read farther away. So I'm going to be reading this as a little bit bluer. I started with the sage, but now I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of a blue tone. Depends on how far away you want them to look. Soft edges, too, are going to help your eye, help them recede. So your eye always goes towards crisp edges versus soft edges. So you are in charge of what do you want your person to look at, right? You have to tell them. They don't know what they want to look at. That's why like a lot of successful art is all about, you know, composition and where your eye goes. And when people think of composition, sometimes they just think of like, oh, how, like where the barn is on the page, but it's not always the subject. Sometimes it's just how color flows throughout the page or how value flows through the page. Something to think about. Next time you look at a work of art and you're staring at it for a while, think about, well, why am I staring at it? Right? Okay, so we're going to keep it to that color palette, but we're going to kill it just a little bit. A little bit of gray. Just a little. In fact, my gray is a little warm, but that's okay. We'll do that. And you know what? I'm kind of feeling there's one color. All my blues are getting depleted from doing all these seascapes I've been doing. A lot of seascapes and cows. My whole upcoming show is about parenting, parenthood, my whole thing behind it. Somehow, cows and seascapes are the main subjects. There's a whole thing behind it, but yes, it's pretty much going to be a cowscape show. It's going to be amazing. Okay, so those are my far, far away areas. Now, all up here, we have brush, we have shadowed snow and light. So let's get some of our shadowed snow in. Woo, that's blue. It's only scary blue because it's alone. It's, you know, when you have one loud, crazy person and they're just running amok in the middle of a field, you're gonna see them. However, if they're around other bunch of people, you're not going to really see them as much. Think of it that way. And that's a weird analogy, but it's because we were just watching this one YouTube video. Me and the boys, everyone's into golf in our house right now. So they were watching this random guy like streak through this golf course. And yeah, he stood out because he's the only one in the middle of the thing. So think of your snow shadow as a streaking person through a golf course. They're crazy right now, but put some other people around them and it's fine. That made no sense. It's okay. Still haven't had my tea. I'm just going to keep saying that. A little bit of my lavender back here. I have to extend my shadow outwards, but I do want this. This is the tiniest pastel in the world. It's so little. Oh my goodness. Does anyone have any questions so far or comments or anything like that? Someone ask questions. I always feel like I'm talking to myself, which I am, but a little bit of purple here. Let's get some blue here for our to be plopped in fences and whatnot. We got our white here. I'm going to put in some cream too. Now yellow, cream is like a version of yellow, right? So purple and yellow, they're opposite colors. So they're going to like look really nice against each other. And when I start putting in that brush, all that dead grass stuff, it's brown, but brown's kind of like a cousin of orange. So orange and blue, they're opposite colors. So you kind of just have to think about how, you know, colors are going to make each other pop just by being next to each other. A little bit of some cream. My warmer colors are going to be in the foreground because that's where they live. They live in the foreground. So cool colors recede. Warm colors come forward. Now, granted, we don't want yellow snow. I'm going to put some white on top of this. But yeah, we just don't want yellow snow. But we got to get stuff filled in. Let's use a little purple over here. I think we got to start putting in some of our falling down fences over here. So I'll show you the reference again so you can see it. Now I'll include the reference in my comment area. If you're on the YouTube, then I'll just hold the reference up afterwards. I don't think I can put a picture in the comments of a YouTube, but I can in Facebook. So dual streaming at its finest here. All right, let's get a little bit more white in. I'm going to use a softer white. It's not even going to be a white. It's going to be actually this gray color. Now, right now it looks so flat, like it's just not, you know, coming up against the barn. We want to add some snow up on this barn. See, now we cover that line that you might not like, you know? All things to think about. Just cover it with fluff. Even though it's not fluff. It could be a t-shirt. When in doubt, cover it with fluff. Or better yet, add purple. All right, there we go. Now, just by me grazing that blue on top of this kind of mauve-y color I used, which is, it's like a purpley mauve. It looks just like my skin actually there. It's nice. It just harmoniously kind of adds texture to the ground. It does all these things that we want it to do, which is good because there's life in the shadows. It's not just a solid like carpet or oil spill of solidarity. We need like stuff going on. All right, let's put in this fence. It's leaning. We have to purposely make it look, you know, like we meant to draw it this way. But there's a lot of snow on it too. So we're just going to add, I'm using my little magic edge, not the flat side, not the flat side, not the corner, but that edge. And I'm using that edge just to kind of get in the rails, the posts. I'm just looking at mine and just kind of, you know, putting in my own little interpretation. There's a big old bush here. The bush is going to have snow. Everything's going to have snow on it. So we just want to get a little more something going on. Maybe there's a little suggestion of things behind it, but let's just get there to be a little snow first so I can kind of get my bearing. So once again, let's come down closer so you can actually see what I'm doing. So very rough, right? Very, very rough looking. I just have some black. Now I'm using a white. I'm going to use that edge just to kind of establish where the tops on some of these little posts are going to be. Some of them are in shadow, so I'll go in with some shadow colors too. Some shadow snow. Over here, maybe some shadow snow. Over here, shadow snow. There's some bright snow behind here. Just a matter of getting things filled in with something. It's like when you're cooking, you gotta have some sort of stock or something in the pot before you start throwing things in and tasting it. So same idea here. We don't know what it's gonna look like or taste like. So you get it all in. Art's just like anything else, really. I mean, ooh, bless me. You know, you can't see the whole picture unless you look at it from a distance. Sometimes you have to step away. I can't tell you how many times I say that in my classes. Some people listen. Looking at things shrunken down. Like, I know I'm here in real life looking at this, but I have the benefit of looking at it over on screen, which is what you guys see. That way I can see if you guys actually are looking at the right thing that I'm trying to show and whatnot. But thank you, Mary. But I have the benefit of looking at it shrunken down often. Sometimes I forget to say it to people, you know, to look at it from a distance, blah, 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 blah. But it's important. Even if you have to set a timer to do that, that's always a good thing to do too. All right, I see some chicken wire or something over here. We're just going to put in a couple lines. We don't even need to put in a lot of lines. I'm tapping with that edge. I'll come in closer so you can kind of see what it looks like. See that? It's really just a bunch of random marks that looks kind of like, you know, chicken wiry-ish or whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but something. All right, now that we have that in, let's start getting a little bit more on our roof and our ground. And then there's some stuff happening over here. You know what? I'm dying to put this stuff happening over here in. It's very faint. It's another fence. It's leaning against the wall. I'm using that same color I used for that bush over here. Okay. I just drew it in very, very simply. Okay. But it still has to have a shadow. So you can use the edge of your chunk. You can use a pastel pencil if you wanted to. Pastel pencils, honestly, they never get as dark as you want them to get. So I feel like the chunks are always going to be a little stronger. But there is some snow. I see a little bit of snow. We're just going to tap on my blue shadowed snow color. Just get a little something there. I see a little window over here. He's getting some light. That was a very thick window. But you wouldn't know if you're not looking at the reference. So that's one reason I don't want to show the reference right now too. But I also don't have enough screen to show the reference as well. But if anyone wants to see it as I work, if you're live, let me show it. Negative space up here. That's always a nice little thing. Negative space showing through. Let's get in some of our brush over here. We have some, still using the edge. Now this guy is rounder. He doesn't really have an edge, but I am going to use the side of him and I'm going to fling upwards. So there's going to be some darker ones too, but let's just start planting them, breaking up this area. I'm going to get some more snow in. Get some snow in back here too. We'll zoom out. There we go. Let's see. Oh, Lisa, you made it. I don't know if you were watching the whole time or not, but I just see your comment now. All right, a little bit of some purple. Of course, we're going to go back on top with some white. Just a lot of horizontal lines back here. Distance. You can even smush it a little. Give it more distance. If it's too liney, graze on top of it. Using that edge. Just kind of, it's almost like putting a veil on top of something. I do like that telephone pole back there, though. And I think I'm going to put in that tree, too. All right, let's get a little bit more over here. La, 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 la. I'm kind of thinking I want to put in a light pink. Yes, a light pink. It's going to be so light that you're not even going to know that it's pink. Is this pink? I can't even tell. Sometimes it's just in the pink area of my bin, and it's not really pink. Let's get a different pink. I don't know if this one's pink either. Maybe the universe is telling me not to put pink in here. What's this? Well, this is purple. It's a purpley pink. Couple little doodads in there. Just let your pastel dance. Let it do its own thing. Sometimes we're too caught up on trying to make things how they're supposed to be, but like sometimes the answer is just letting the pastel do all the work. Just let your hand gyrate with marks. Sometimes I'll stiffen my whole arm and just kind of like, oh, and hope for the best. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Let's see. I almost see like some like suggested tracks here. I don't know. But if I am putting those in, I'm squiggling. I'm not drawing a hard line. And then I'm going to go on top with my white. And then just, yes, Rita, I got your, I'll let you see the reference photo. Yep. So there's that. And then here we go. So far. So far. We got this nice post over here that I want to do too. That's going to be a nice thing to add in. No problem. Let's put in that post. I'm going to put it in with a crazy soft pastel just because I like the color. And there's going to be another post over here. And then it goes this way. It does this thing. And then it goes back this way. Oh boy. Okay. And then there's snow on it. So we're going to add some white snow on top. In fact, my white doesn't stand out as much. Why? Is it because my white is not white enough? Absolutely not. It's because behind it is not dark enough. White can only show its lightness by being next to dark. You cannot have light without dark, right? So this is where you have to start thinking about your values. And that's why it's so important to put in a little bit of everything first and then going back. Like I know it depends on what medium, honestly. I mean, I use some mediums where I just work in one little area and work my way out, but I still always come back to reflect upon it. Now, you're not going to see the values for what they need to be until you have it all in. So let's see if we can go back in with our light again. Let's use a softer white. There we go. A little bit on top here. Little bit up there. This is just a big unison, but it's the end. It still has the wrapper on it. I love unisons. They're great. Unisons, Terry Ludwig's. New pastels are a wonderful option for a beginner. If you're interested, there is a beginner 101, all materials provided, pastel workshop I'm doing over at the place I work at in Bedminster. It will be hybrid. So if you did want to join in virtually, you can, but you would have to get your own supplies then, obviously, because, or go pick them up, I guess. I don't know how that would work, but anyhow, that's the only downfall to that. So there is that option. It's in person as well. So if you come, you don't have to buy anything. You just come, you create, you decide if you love it or you hate it, and then you go from there. All right, I'm just adding a couple little extra brushy things back here. I see a couple lines. That pastel is not going to do anything. A couple lines in our little area there. There we go. Which last post, Mary? This one over here? I feel like mine's too perfect. I have to age it up a little bit. There we go. Even a little post on the inside there. All right, all these little random little growths that are coming through, those are wonderful. Want to know why? Because each one has a shadow. That's the part I like. And they're a nice way to break up. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing. It's a nice way to break up this like big area too. You know, there's all these little things happening. You know, you don't have to use a pencil. You can use a charcoal pencil too. You could probably even use a regular pencil. But then you're going to want to use a blue for the shadow. And I am going to actually use a pastel pencil for this. So for any of these guys, now I know the light's coming this way, like this direction. So I'm going to create my, ooh, that's a strong blue. I think I grabbed the wrong one. That's all right. I'll just ease up on my pressure and it'll be fine. Let's see what you can see a little closer. See how I'm pick one and just kind of fling it to the left. Little stuff like that. Now, the roof just needs a little bit more handled. And this bright thing here, that's too much. I'm looking at it from a distance and it's just too much. So we're just going to graze over it. Even though it's bright in the reference, I'm not going to, I don't know, it's bothering me. So I'm just going to knock it down just a little. Okay. Now the roof, yes, there's texture. Yes, there's all that. But I do want there to be a little bit more color in the roof with the snow. So remember, snow is a sponge. It's not just white. Especially on this little guy up here. We got to draw the weather vane in. All right, I'm going to get a little cream in some spots. Because if it's making this intense of a shadow, the sun is somewhere. And that sun's going to create some warm tones, which in the reference photo is not really that apparent, but we are the artist. Maybe a little more gray in some areas if it's too much. Create that nice edge. All right, let's get some white. Going with the flow, up and down. It's like a metal roof, right? So there's definitely going to be those grooves in it too. You can start to kind of get that vibe with that. But we still want it to be too light either. We just, it's tempting to get it to be very light. And it can be light, just not so in your face. We don't want it to take away from everything. So that's where I'm going to start to really try to work in a little bit of some blues and, well, that's too strong. Blues in some areas. Even though it's mostly in light, I still want there to be some cooler aspects. I swear, if my pastels were just clean, it would help a lot. Let's do up here. I'm going to show you a cool trick too, which I don't normally use, but it's a cool trick. So hold that thought. All right. Ooh, we forgot to get a little red up here. Boop. Little red. We'll do a little red over here. I see some reflected color. All right. I'm just going to go up top here and crispen this little cupola area up there. So we have this little edge. We got the closer edge and the underside edge. The top area here. I didn't draw a line. I used that magic edge, that like long edge, and I just brought it on down. Throw in a little weather vane. Mine's going to be shorter because I don't want it to like go off. Mine looks like a cross. I guess it is a weather vane, right? I mean, I don't know. I think it's by proportions that, or whatever. Anyway, now for the rest of this barn top, let me show you that cool technique. Okay, so say you want to take something and make some lines with it, right? I think I'm going to use a dark gray. What is this? Oh, it's my 244. And then you're going to use a razor blade. So what you're going to do is you're going to knock out little sections. I don't want to do it over my art, so I'm going to do it over here. So I'm going to just take a little groove, carve into it, and then make another groove here. So you hear my dog snore. I'll do a third one too. Now this is just to show you the technique. So you can kind of see how there's three different, can you see that? There's three different grooves in there now. So anyway, when you make that line, see how it makes 3 lines now? Pretty cool. So if you wanted to give the impression of this barn roof vibe, you can give that impression by just using that magic edge, but with the knocks little carved areas out. You can see where it didn't hit because I did it over the white. So just an idea to kind of, you know, play around with texture without having to actually think too hard. Yeah, pretty cool. You can do it with the white too, you know, vice versa. So anyway, couple little windows over here. Boom. Oop, that's too light. Boom. Nope, too dark. It's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I can't find the right color. It's the last one you pick. All right, maybe there's a little dark one over here. This is just where I take all these little extra things and start playing around and, you know, all that stuff. So, all right. Anyway, that's pretty much our thing in a nutshell. I'm looking at it from a distance now just to kind of see what needs to be adjusted, what needs to be handled. I'm seeing up here. Ooh, whoops. Don't touch it with a dirty hand. I'm seeing that like maybe my edge of my roof here could be a little more solidified. Kind of looks like it's disappearing. Using the side of my finger. But anyway, so that's kind of the gist with our barn. And what else? Oh, we got to put some snow over here. So I'm going to do a little snow. Some snow's in white. That's kind of nice. Okay. All right. What do you guys think? What do you think? Let's come closer. It looks so dark on screen. But yeah, this is when I would just kind of like hone in and think about like all these little things that could just be added. A little separation here of the gutter. Put that in. All the little stuff. All right, well, with that said, I'm going to go have some quick breakfast, and then I have a private lesson to do. So stay tuned for my next one. I'll probably do one maybe in a month. And if you're interested in signing up for my Zoom class, oh my gosh, what's wrong with my throat? My Zoom class, which is next Monday, it starts from 12:30 to 3. The sign up is on my website, which is agillustration.com. It's in the little ticker down there. not that one. It's coming around. It's coming around again. But yes, and if you need any storage solutions for your artwork, check that out. I mean, I love all of my little things because you can personalize them. Yay. And this one actually holds all of my brushes and whatnot. So if you're interested in any of that, check out my Totally Bagged one. And that is all. Workshops and everything will be on my website as well soon for Summit and CCA. Their classes are not live publicly yet. So I don't have those links there, but I do have the link for my Zoom class. Lisa, I will see you on Monday. Great. And that's it. Thank you all for joining. Bye.